Mazuma TV back in the building, man. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to Mazuma Nation. Shout out to the Mazuma Mob. We in the building as always, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day, man. Thank God it's Friday. On the road to 2K. We should be hitting that 1,500 mark today, man. So shout out to the nation. Shout out to the mob for making this possible. All right, y'all. I just seen this interview on Fight Hub TV, man. Shout out to them for the content. And it was an interview by Bernard Hopkins. You know what I mean? Bernard Hopkins is showing his face out right now for the week because Vergil Ortiz is fighting this weekend against Frederick Lawson. He's making his comeback at 154 pounds. Technically, this is a middleweight contest because they're fighting at a catch weight of 156. But nonetheless, he's making his junior middleweight debut January 6th. You know what I mean? Against an opponent that has a solid record, but we broke the record down yesterday on the live, man. If y'all didn't see it, go check it out, man. Just pretty much telling you guys how, although this man may have a solid record, I believe Frederick Lawson is like 30-3 from Ghana. I believe he has 22 knockouts, but every single loss that he has had, he has gotten knocked out. You know what I mean? Most notably, I believe in 2022, he had gotten knocked out by Charles Hatley. You know what I mean? Former opponent of Jamel Charlo. If y'all were around at that time, you would know who Charles Hatley is. So he has that opponent coming up, man. Very, very padded record, in all honesty. Very, very padded record. But due to the fact that he is susceptible to get knocked out, I'm sure that's why they chose that opponent for Vergil Ortiz, because Vergil Ortiz is a dynamite puncher, explosive. He lets his hands go. So it's pretty much supposed to be a situation where Vergil comes back off of this long layoff, because I don't think he's fought since like August of 2022. And they trying to make him come back with a emphatic knockout. You know what I mean? So they can say Vergil Ortiz is back on the scene, and they can start campaigning at 154 and looking for the biggest fights. You know what I mean? So salute the Golden Boy for bringing Vergil Ortiz back, man. They could have easily gave up on him after all those canceled fights and him having health issues. So I hope I wish for the best for Vergil Ortiz. You know what I mean? But what I want to get into with this interview with Bernard Hopkins was him touching on the whole Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford situation. I speak on like Bernard Hopkins saying a lot of like crazy things or just like babbling on about like irrelevant topics and just dragging conversations and long drawn out answers that aren't really necessary and things like that. But he brought up a great point when speaking about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, and that was that the punishment that Errol Spence took in that fight with Terrence Crawford, you know what I mean, will it have an effect on him? Of course, the weight is going to play a big factor as well. You know what I mean? Like the weight is definitely going to play its factor, because if it's at 47, with Errol Spence speaking out and saying that it was a problem for him, and Derek James saying that he was a depleted fighter, this will play a factor. You know what I mean? If it's at 154 pounds, this may improve his chances of having a better performance. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. But to go back to the topic, him taking a lot of punishment in this fight against Terrence Crawford, man, he got brutalized. You know what I mean? Errol Spence was game. Errol Spence was game. You know what I'm saying? Bless me, of course. Bless me. He was game the entire time. He didn't show any quit or anything of that nature. But in the process of him staying in that fight, you know what I mean, and his corner now stopping the fight a little bit earlier, he accumulated a lot of damage. And typically, when a fighter takes a lot of damage throughout the course of one fight, it could take a lot of time off of that fighter's career. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Bernard Hopkins was alluding to. And I actually agree with him, man. I think that this fight against Terrence Crawford might have taken some time off of Errol Spence's career, and it can affect him going into the rematch. You know what I'm saying? I believe this is something that happened with Deontay Wilder. When Deontay Wilder accumulated all of that punishment in those last two fights with Tyson Fury, I think that shit carried over into that Joseph Parker fight. I do blame inactivity, but also I think that the damage that he accumulated from Joseph Parker might have hurt his, how can I say this, his durability, his ability to take a shot. You know what I mean? Because he was visibly hurt by Joseph Parker. And his legs just seemed unsteady throughout the course of that fight as well. You know what I mean? So he was showing signs of a fighter who's pretty much on his way to being a shot fighter. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not necessarily saying that's Errol Spence, but that could very possibly be the case going into this rematch. You know what I mean? I've been one of the people that have come out on this YouTube shit and said that I don't really care to see the rematch between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, especially when they was trying to do that quick turnaround. You know what I mean? It's good that Errol Spence is pretty much delaying the process, but considering that he took a lot of damage in the car accident, considering the fact that he took a lot of damage in the he had a retina injury, he took a lot of damage in the Terrence Crawford fight, and he's about to go through a whole training camp where he may take some punishment in sparring. I just think that all around, man, this is all wrong for Errol Spence, man. You know what I'm saying? I honestly think that the rematch may be easier, bro. The rematch may be easier for Terrence Crawford because Errol Spence is coming into this fight less of a fighter than he has in the previous bout. You know what I mean? More was taken out of him in this fight than it has throughout the entire course of his career. So with that being said, man, I thought that Bernard Hopkins brought up a valid point. I thought that he brought up a valid point, and I think that that'll be the reason why Terrence Crawford comes out with another victory, and it might be in a quicker fashion. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if Terrence Crawford stops Errol Spence earlier than what he's done in the first fight. That's just what I personally think. I don't think the weight change will really play a difference. You know what I mean? It just may mean that he'll have an easier camp, and he'll be a little bit more energized, but he can have all the energy he wants, man. I don't think it's a weight thing. I think it's a style thing at the end of the day. But hopefully he proves me wrong and we get a great fight, because it seems like this fight is inevitable. It's going to happen, and they should be announcing it anytime now. You know what I mean? But I'll provide the link to the interview in my bio. I mean, not my bio. I'll put it in the description below. You know what I mean? And y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Bernard Hopkins says that that fight with Terrence Crawford took a lot of years off of Errol Spence's career, and it'll definitely take its effect in the rematch, and I agree with him, man. I don't agree with Bernard Hopkins often, but in this situation, he making sense to me. You know what I mean? But that's just my take on the situation. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Mazuma TV. Thank you for tuning in. I'm out of here, man. Peace.